Okay, not gonna lie, bro. There's like so much stuff to talk about in the NBA right now. The Celtics are about to get eliminated. Cleveland just got eliminated. Like some of the fakest 61 teams I've ever seen in my life is ridiculous. Also, the lottery just occurred. Actually, listen, we can just start there for a second. The lottery just occurred. The Mavericks, with a 1.8% chance of getting number one overall pick, gets the pick. And, of course, everybody, like, loses their mind. Like, oh, my God. Like, it's fake. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I definitely understand how people could believe in it, right? But the thing that really bothers me is that it's not that you come to those conclusions based off of that. It's how people get to the conclusions, take into consideration all the other circumstances, right? And that's when you start to really recognize, like, bro, y'all just don't know what you're talking about. So for starters, people out there saying that they knew it was rigged because the teams with the three worst records ended up not getting the top three picks. Bro, you just don't understand that's how the lottery works now. They changed the odds, and for people out there who don't know, they changed the odds. This is crazy. 1.8% is crazy. But they changed the odds because they want to take away the incentive to tank. So now how the lottery works, you're not getting your ceiling isn't being raised on the opportunity to receive a top pick. What's happening is your floor is getting raised to make sure you don't fall off too far. That's the benefit of, I guess, tanking now, right? Because if you look at it, not only is there a flat layout of percentages between the top three teams where it's 14% to get the number one overall pick, 13% to get the second overall pick, and then 12.7% to get the third overall pick. But also, as you can also see, bro, the Utah Jazz are actually more likely to receive the fifth overall selection than any other pick in the draft. Matter of fact, it's such by a large margin that they're 3 times more likely, or three and a half times more likely. One to two. No, I don't know what it is. Actually, can I bring up the calculator real quick? We can do this live, dog. We do it live. We'll break down the math live. Can I put there it is, calculator on the screen. 47.9 divided by 14. Yeah, they're like almost 3.5 times more likely. They're almost 3.5 times more likely to receive the fifth overall pick than the first overall pick. So it's meant to de-incentivize tanking. And actually, let me bring the calculator up again. 14 plus 13.4 plus 12 plus 7, 40%. So actually, here's what's crazy. It's more likely for them to receive the fifth overall pick for them to actually fall within the top three. So that's to let you know it actually is working perfectly fine. That's how the lottery is set up now. It's working perfectly fine. Then the other thing that I saw, which I thought was like just nuts, but people like running with this idea like, oh, if you're a LeBron or you're the Lakers, anytime they get traded or something gets happening with them, the opposing team always gets a high draft pick. Hey, people were not saying any of this back when Powell got traded to the Lakers for Kwame Brown, and then the Grizzlies didn't really get anything of substance outside the second rounder. But I saw this came from NBA on ESPN. This is crazy. Now, all this is pretty coincidental. I can thoroughly understand how we're joking about this, but there's people who actually thoroughly believe this. The idea, if you trade LeBron leaves Cleveland, go to Miami. That's why they end up getting Kyrie. Then people also say they knew he was coming back. That's the reason why they gave them the first overall selection for 2013 and 2014. Okay, if they knew that, why would they not just give them the first overall pick also to 2012 so they can just get Anthony Davis, and so you can have the big three being Kyrie, LeBron, and AD when he gets back? Oh, yeah, that's right, because Chris Paul got traded to the Clippers, and then when Chris Paul gets traded to the Clippers, they get rewarded with the first overall pick to get Anthony Davis. A couple of things with that. I don't understand how that's possible if David Stern back then was not David Stern, but the owners were the de facto owners of the Pelicans at the time because they didn't have any ownership. And so, again, remember now, the theory is that David Stern had to veto the trade because it made the Lakers way too overpowered, but still wanted them to trade Chris Paul and trade him to another market for them to then go get Anthony Davis. Okay, that's very, very elaborate, but also why would they not just get the first overall pick in the 2011 draft? Why would it take them another draft selection to go get the 2012 overall first pick to get Anthony Davis? So that doesn't make any sense. And also, if the theory is you just want a big market team to receive Chris Paul, why then veto the Laker trade? That doesn't make any sense. Then the theory of AD to the LA, they then get gifted again the first overall pick being the Pelicans. And I'll be honest with you, these are all pretty low odds. These are all pretty low odds. Pretty low odds, except for this one actually. This isn't that low. But single digit odds, 2.8, 6%, and 1.8, that's actually pretty crazy. But I don't like this theory of like, oh yeah, we wanted the Pelicans to get Zion. We wanted the generational star at that time to go to New Orleans. No, that's not how that works. But if you thought that's how that worked, then why exactly the exact same draft class? Why wouldn't the Knicks get the second overall pick? Because I want to say, yeah, in the same draft class, the Knicks should have gotten the second overall pick because the Knicks traded Porzingis to the Dallas Mavericks. And so to reward them for moving off of their franchise player, and since they're a major market, why wouldn't they get the second overall pick to receive John Morant? Matter of fact, why would John Morant go to Memphis of all places? It's a small market team. Why would he do that? Especially since the Knicks have been desperately looking for a point guard for decades now. So that doesn't make any sense. And then you have to like further ask yourself, like, even in all the other conspiracy theories, like, oh, LeBron goes to Cleveland, Derrick Rose goes back to Chicago. I don't like all that stuff. It's coincidental. It just doesn't make any sense. There's so many other reasons why a big market team or a bigger market team should be able to receive a franchise player. Like the Clippers should have received some teams by now. That's the RJ Barrett selection is the highest selection that the Knicks have drafted, I think, since like the 80s. Like, I don't think, or maybe it might have been since Patrick Ewing draft. Like, they don't get top draft selections anymore. Like, that's ridiculous. And then on top of that, and this is the thing that really bothers me, it's not just that they got a 1.8% chance of receiving Cooper Flagg. It's everything that came along with it as well to get to the point where they only had a 1.8% chance. So going down the timeline for the Mavericks, after they traded Luka, they got AD, and they rushed him back on the floor to compete, despite the fact that they wanted a lottery pick to make sure they can get Cooper Flagg. And in pursuit of rushing AD out there to compete, he gets hurt in his debut. Then Kyrie gets hurt a couple of games later, out for the entire year, all a part of the rigged plan. Then I think P.J. Washington missed games. Derek Lively's already out. And so all of this is part of the conspiracy theory. But then on top of that, Anthony Davis comes back and plays games to close out the season so they can secure a spot in the play-in tournament. Then they play in a play-in, beat the Sacramento Kings. Be very mindful that they do not need to win games because if they actually make the playoffs, they don't have a lottery selection at all. They don't even have one. So why would they be out there trying to compete to win? To take it a step even further, they had to end with the exact same record with the Chicago Bulls for them to do a coin flip. And on the coin flip, that was going to determine who had the odds to receive the same odds to go out to get the number one overall selection. So the Bulls missed out on that selection on a coin flip. So that's all the things that had to lead up for them to receive the odds that turned out to be Cooper Flagg with the first overall pick. That's why I'm like, bro, none of that really, it just doesn't make any sense. I get it. It's cool to talk about, but it doesn't make any sense. But in a much bigger picture, why I really don't think it makes any sense is because I don't even believe it makes the most sense for them to receive Cooper Flagg in the first place. Or let me take that back. I don't think it makes any sense for them to even draft Cooper Flagg. Like, it's a gift and a curse. The gift is that you got the first overall pick. You have the ability to right your wrong, right? Bring in a franchise player, someone who may be marketable, and to replace Luka, a young prospect, yada, yada, yada. But then the curse is that this team is not in position to do a rebuild. This team is not in position to properly build around Cooper in the adequate amount of time because they don't have the right assets to do so. And actually, shout out to Jay Will. He actually said this on Get Up. and everybody thought he was crazy, but I actually thoroughly agree with him.
To that, they have 1.8%. I don't even know this. Why would we waste the audience's time talking about something that absolutely cannot happen? And of course, it did.
Now I know it's going to be controversial, but if I'm Nico Harrison, I'm trading the pick. Like, look, there's something. He just got back into good graces. I hear you. I hear, but I'm not sure for a guy like Cooper Flagg. I think he needs reps. I think he needs a lot of room to grow. I'm not sure championship aspirations right away for him. Yes. Now, look, the basketball part of me loves the thought of AD, Cooper Flagg, Derek Lively in the backcourt, right? But when I look at the value, could you potentially package something like this to get a Giannis? Could you package in a one-on-one trade to get a Devin Booker? Could you get a Tyrese Maxey? Could you, if your championship window is in 2 to 3 years, could you utilize that pick and some assets to get somebody who's ready to contribute to you right now with the pressure in the West Coast?
What are you doing, Alan?
What are you drinking? What do you got?
There's some good stuff in there. I don't know.
What are you drinking this morning?
Now, hey, excuse me for the fidgeting of the screen. Gotta get that, gotta avoid that copyright. You know what I'm saying? Gotta avoid that copyright. Now, okay, let me say this. I'm too pussy to do this. Hey, I'm too pussy to actually trade Cooper Flagg. I'm too pussy, even though it low-key makes a lot of sense. But I'm too pussy to do this. But I want people to like understand what Jay Williams is saying, because I think a lot of people don't really comprehend. So I built out a bit of a chart for you, and please understand that this is definitely the most ghettoest thing I've ever done in my lifetime on this channel. But give me the good graces to explain myself accordingly. So on your screen, what you're gonna see is kind of like a graph almost of sorts that kind of explains their situation, right? Let me make myself smaller because I did a whole bunch of like shenanigans. And then let me move this over. Okay, so this right here is a situation that the Dallas Mavericks are in. And actually, let me go back a little bit, because you're probably wondering like what these years, the numbers are each years that are associated with how long the players, as of right now, are going to be committed to the team. Now, the reason why I put 8 for Cooper and instead of like a long period, a longer number, is because effectively when you draft someone, you have a 7-year window, but technically speaking, it's 8. The 4 years on the rookie contract, and then after that, another 4 years on the extension that you're going to give them by default, because you're going to match any offer that someone throws at them. That's all that you have. Now, within that 8-year window, you really only have 7 years. I look dumb right now by doing this, but you really only have, you really only have 7. Jesus. You really only have 7 years, right? The reason why I say you only have 7 instead of the 8, because the 8th year on the extension would be the expiring contract year, where the player tends to make some demands that if you don't trade me, then I'll just walk in free agency. And so really it's only 7 years. But for all intents and purposes, I just put 8 on there so everybody can kind of follow along, even though I damn near can't even follow along. Now, the other reason why these other numbers, where are these other numbers coming from? Well, okay, so next year is year 1 of the Cooper Flagg experiment, right? Now, in that year 1, what you have to understand and recognize is that the rest of these players are only in a contract for a certain amount of years. So this right here, to kind of get the numbers out of the way, when it comes to the team, let me see something here. Here we go. When it comes to the team, after this season that just passed, AD's only in a contract for 3 more years. 1, 2, 3. Kyrie, he's technically on expiring, but he's going to sign an extension, and they're probably going to give him a 3-year extension. 1, 2, 3, because it's going to match up with what's going on with AD. Clay only has 2 more years. PJ Washington 1, Daniel Gafford 1. Caleb Martin also 3, but I didn't put him on the list. Najee Marshall only 2, Max Christie 3, and Derek Lively has 2 more years, but he's also going to sign an extension. So that's where these numbers come from. So there's the 3 right there. Number 1 is Cooper's rookie year. There's a 3 for AD. There's the 3, the new extension that Kyrie received the Max Christie 3, Klay Thompson 2, Daniel Gafford only 1, Washington 1, and then Lively has 2 more years, but he's going to sign the 4-year extension as well, and Najee Marshall for 2 years. So that's the breaking up of what's on your screen right now. The numbers are the amount of years that they're there for. Okay, now what we already know, we've established that this rookie season is going to be a wash. They're in a competitive Western Conference where you need to basically solidify 50 games in a win column to make sure you get into the playoffs. That's what you need to do. Kyrie is probably going to be out for the entire season, but even if he comes back, it may be too late for them to compete at a high level. They're probably going to get, at best, the 7th or 8th seed and more than likely get knocked out in the first round because they just don't have enough. Also, I still think that the roster is slightly incomplete. So, because of that, Bam. Also, you're relying on a rookie to give you major minutes in this rotation. So, after that, Bam, year 1 is already done. Year 1 is done. You're now 1 year down in this window that Nico Harrison has provided to everybody. Okay, so that's that. Then after that, the next year, you have some problems already. As you can see, Gafford and Lively, they're no longer on the team anymore because they're expiring. Now, this is where things get a little interesting, and I'm going to be as optimistic as possible for them. So, it was news already broke, I want to say, about Gafford. Yeah, Gafford is seeking for a contract extension of which that is going to be starter caliber money, but he's not a starter. They already have AD and they have Lively, so they don't really need him. So more than likely, he's not going to be on the team long term. However, to be fair to them, more than likely they're going to replace Gafford with a piece that is probably going to result into a player that's going to be on the team for a year or two. So, okay, cool. We'll say that. So let's replace Gafford with a piece, and let's say that piece is under contract for year 2 of Cooper and year 3 of Cooper. Okay. Let's also say the same thing for P.J. Washington. No need to keep P.J. Washington after the rookie season because effectively in the starting five, Cooper will play his position. So let's say that he gets traded for a piece that's going to be on the team in year 2 and in year 3 of Cooper Flagg. That probably makes the most sense. Probably a couple other things are in play, but that makes the most sense as well. However, this now means that you have Kyrie, who I think at that point would be 34, coming off an ACL injury, a 33-year-old Anthony Davis, who will be surrounded in the starting five with Max Christie in the backcourt, Cooper Flagg at the 3, and Derek Lively at the 5. I actually don't mind the lineup, but it's basically a 1-year window when everyone is going to be potentially healthy for them to figure things out. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have a hard time believing that in the first real season of expectation that Cooper Flagg as a starter is going to be good enough to go out there and play really good basketball. So year 2 will probably be wraps and won't result into a championship. So then that leads into the question, okay, year 3 of Cooper, AD's on expiring, Kyrie's on an expiring, Max is on expiring, but let's just say hypothetically speaking, he signed an extension. He's going to be there for year 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's just say he signed a 4-year extension, right? Klay Thompson is now off the team. Najee Marshall is now off the team. Unless you just gave them an extension. I don't think you give Klay an extension. But now they're off the team as well. And then your last 2 pieces may have another year after that, but more than likely they're on expiring as well. So then if you are AD and Kyrie at 35 and 36, if I'm not mistaken, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to stay on a roster that is trying to build around a sophomore in Cooper, or are you willing to leave and go somewhere else? And more than likely, you're going to leave and go somewhere else, which then begs the question, if they end up leaving, what exactly do you do around Cooper after that? And this is where things get really interesting because, and then, in all honesty, this is the biggest reason why, like, anybody who sits here and say, oh, Nico was right. Oh, my God, it's the big master plan. Like, you don't know, respectfully, you're, like, missing so much context clues and so much information to what exactly is going on in Dallas. I just can't take anything you're just saying respectfully at all. I'm not going to be able to respect anything you're saying because you just have no clue what's going on. Because that top row right there, draft picks, I haven't filled that out because it ain't really much to fill out. So for those who don't know, these are the Dallas Mavericks draft picks down the pipeline. This year they had their pick. Okay, cool. 2026 they have their first round pick as well. They only sent out the second round pick. But in 2027, they traded their pick to go get PJ Washington. So they don't have their 2027 pick. They don't have the rights to their 28 pick. It's a pick swap because it goes to OKC. 2029, they don't have that pick either because that's what they use to go get Kyrie. And then 2030, they don't have the right to that pick either. So they don't have the rights to their pick in Cooper's third year. Well, in Cooper's rookie season is Cooper's pick. So the second year in this process, they have their pick. But they don't have the pick in 2027, 2028, 2029, nor 2030. The next time that they get the rights to their pick is in 2031. That's when they get the rights to their pick. And yes, they do have the Lakers first rounder, but that's really it. And be very mindful, the Lakers first rounder will be a team that has Luka on it. So that means that if you were in that situation, let me go back. No. Let's go back to the Dallas Mavericks situation. If you have to wait until 2030 to get your draft picks back or get the rights to your own draft selection, that means we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're talking about year 6. You have this year, you have the pick, and that's Cooper. You don't have a pick here, 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 and then this is when you get your pick back, and then you have your pick right there again. And then that's when you start getting your picks back. So that means that after this third year, when AD and Kyrie more than likely leave because they're 34, 35 years old, and you have no idea what they're going to do because they're older, they're looking for a team with a bit more experience, trying to win now, not trying to rebuild around Cooper Flagg, who just got done with his sophomore season. You don't have any draft capital to build around him. Now, you can certainly argue, Halo, when they trade AD and Kyrie, they're going to get draft picks. Even if they are, they're probably not going to be anything of value because no one's going to give up valuable draft capital for Kyrie and AD at the age that they're at with the injury experience or the injuries that they have as well. So, yeah, long story short, they're in a situation to where it doesn't make any sense. And this is why a lot of people are saying, like, bro, like, more than likely, if you are the Dallas Mavericks, even though, yes, you have the runway to get Cooper, and you're going to have, like, a 7-year window to really figure things out, you don't have the assets to really maximize him. You're putting him in a situation to win immediately, and if things don't work out within these first 2 years, one of which Kyrie won't even play for most of the season, things get really shaky really quickly because you don't have the draft capital to build around him beyond the years of AD and Kyrie until 2031, and that'll be in year 6 of Cooper's career. And in year 7, Cooper is probably going to start demanding a trade if you have not yet figured it out. So that's the reason why. It's a gift and a curse. Certainly works out, but it also wouldn't surprise me if Nico Harrison does decide to trade it, even though I understand news has already came out that they're not. But you know, that's where a lot of people need to really understand things going on.